to Dr. David Israel, the Hebrew language specialist, the Hebrew Language Academy, to all of the Cyclopses, to all of the members far and near. This is Del K. Brereton with The Real Spiel. Man, I have a sobering kind of topic today. And just in conversations, it's come up. Oh gosh, I keep forgetting. I gotta put this thing on. I do it every time. I just forget. Listen. There was a time that all we had to worry about in the black community with our young girls was worrying about them getting pregnant as teenagers or as adolescents. Teenage pregnancy, that was the terminology that we spoke about. We talked about that for a very long time, and we had so many things that have been dropped on the backs of young black women in respect to their sexuality and their vulnerability. And with teenage pregnancies, we had these great abortion movements that took place to bury abortion clinics in the black community. Again, Margaret Sanger, the one of the chief racists in the history of Western womankind, attempting to annihilate and commit genocide in the black community with Planned Parenthood. Nothing describes a wolf in sheep's clothing better than Planned Parenthood when it comes to supposedly assisting the black community and black women. Planned Parenthood is an insidious demon sitting there ready to devour generations. But not just Planned Parenthood, and not just social culture that has made promiscuity something that has been more pervasive. But I wanna put something out there and be very, very clear about it. I think, and this is an I think moment, that the chief people to hold accountable with pregnancy issues in the young black community are black men, the black fathers. And sometimes we're culpable, and sometimes we are culpable and we don't have, we by omission. But I want to put that squarely on our shoulders, but I'm coming back to that. If teenage pregnancy was all we had to deal with our young girls, and we could have a conversation and a dialogue about that. That's not young. It's a long conversation. But we've moved from just being worried about teenage pregnancy in the black community to worrying about human trafficking. It's got that far. It's gotten that far that there has been an incredible rise of the prevalence of human trafficking amongst the black community in North America and worldwide. For some reason, our young girls are becoming the objects of traffickers, and they are focusing. And this is not, when you think of human trafficking back in the day, you would think, oh, there's these young girls that were stolen from one country and taken to another. Human trafficking can be done domestically, it can be done right in your own neighborhood. It can be done right in your high school. Okay? Your daughter could be human trafficked and she's living right in your house. She comes home every day and you have no idea what's going on. And I have so many stories. Let me give you one. I knew this very affluent Christian family. The mother was a professional, the father was a professional, and they had a very brilliant young daughter. She was going to the University of Toronto, and she was actually getting good grades. She was doing very well. Because of her high achievements, her parents had bought her a BMW truck. she was afforded all of the best things of life. She, again, two-parent household, father and mother very much engaged, and a high-achieving child. All right, not what you would think as the regular systematic, statistical person that would be caught up in a human trafficking ring. So what took place is that as she was going to school, she had gotten a boyfriend, and black, and this is a black family. Apparently, the boyfriend, I believe, was Russian, though, and she used to take trips, Niagara Falls. She'd be going away. One day, and again, this is a strict Christian household. The mother found in her bag, the bag of her daughter, just decided to look in her duffel bag, and there was a poster, a little mini poster, and her daughter was the feature. I mean, this little girl was beautiful too. Beautiful, beautiful black girl. But she was the feature at a strip joint. And she called the father. They went to the strip joint, found her red-handed in the act of the young man with her, and dragged her out of there. What are you doing? Dragged her out of there. Complete embarrassment. Like, took her home. Father came, mother came, everybody came. Her brothers came. Right? Remember, this is a high-achieving young lady. And you're like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? What's going on? The mother and her shared a bank account. There's about 50 grand in the bank account that she had access to. Right? This is not a money problem. This little girl comes from an affluent home. She did not have a money problem. She said, this was what she said: me and my boyfriend are going to build an empire together. I love him and he loves me. And there's nothing you can do to stop me. Father collected her BMW keys. Mother took away her debit cards, credit cards, told her leave all those clothes up, leave them right here. And within 2 twos, the boyfriend pulled up in a vehicle, picked her up. Now, I don't know if some of you maybe think, well, that's not human trafficking. I don't see that as human trafficking. Once you have the capacity to psychologically induce someone from a state of functionality to a state of dependency on the sex trade for their futuristic goals. Remember, this woman, this young girl, I think she was in a nursing course too. She wasn't paying for her course. She didn't have to pay for anything. She had no financial issue. But the boyfriend, the sex trafficker, convinced her that, baby, we can be big doing this. And that lifestyle to her became more appealing than anything else she had in her hands. Human trafficking for our young ladies isn't just simply somebody stealing their physical body, but it's also somebody stealing their mind. And that is the greatest threat to our young girls now, and I'm placing it right back. Who's the ultimate person responsible for this? I'm going to hold it in the hands of the fathers. The black father role in Western society and elsewhere is one of the most important psychological roles for any child, male or female, but especially our daughters. And there has been a very, and I use this word a lot because it is the perfect word for what I'm describing. There is an insidious plot to replace the influence of the black father in the lives of girls and in the lives of boys, and it is a terrible assault on the psychology of a young black generation. And the black father role has been replaced, and it might sound oxymoronic when I say it, but I want you to understand what I'm saying. Give me time. The black father role has been replaced by the black stepfather role. The father has been replaced by a stepfather role. Let me break that down to you. Once you take away the origins of a human being, you take away what they originally come from, what they ontologically are, and you replace it with something else, you have given them the license to believe that origins are optional. Origins don't matter. Origins are not important. And therefore, it's not about who I am. It's about what my environment presents to me. Give me a little time. Let me break this down. If the stepfather is a replacement to the real father, then I can have unlimited stepfathers. I can have unlimited paternal male people who are as important, who are as influential as my actual biological father. And if that young lady falls into the hands of the wrong stepfather, and the wrong stepfather might not be an abusive person, he just might be a person that just does not care as much as her biological father. If she falls into the hands of the wrong father, a man who doesn't care about everything about that young child's life, then what she has is a psychological gap and need for a paternal figure to fill those gaps. You could have been there every single day. You could have been there every single day. You could have said, I've been here every single day of this child's life. There is something to be said as to figuring out what is the psychological needs of a girl child. Psychological needs of a girl child. We are living in a very, what is the word? These young girls now, they have a sense of entitlement, a very entitled world. I understand that. There's a lot of entitlement. But after entitlement, there is the bare basics of saying, I am going to be the stopgap, the checks and balances to what is healthy and what is not healthy, to what you actually need based on what you wish for. And there has to be a breakdown between feelings, needs, and wishes. And once feelings and wishes take the predominant place in anyone's mind, needs become skewed, because your feelings will tell you what your needs are, and those aren't what your needs are. Feelings can't always tell you what your needs are, and wishes are not needs. And so when you replace the father with a potential stepfathers, what do? They walk in, they try to, they try to be those guys, that they try to be the nice guy, they try to give you what you want, anything you need. They try to make you a surrogate attachment to the mother, and they try to build you with everything they need, with everything that they think you need, but it's just wishes, it's just feelings, it's just emotions. Dads sit there and say, hey, wait a minute, no, you're not doing that. Emotionlessly, point blank, that's not what we're doing. We're not doing that. No, I'm not. I listen. You're my child. We're not doing that. That's not going to be what you're doing. That's not who you are. Baby, you're your father's daughter. That's not who you are. A stepchild, a stepfather, rather, can never look you in your face and say, hey, 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 hey. That's not who you are. I know who you are because you came from me. I know who you are. I'm not raising you to be like that. You didn't come out of me like that. Because once you take away origins, she has no basis. She has no baseline to say, well, who am I? How am I put together? I'm going to tell you how you put together. You put together like your daddy. You're never going to let any man think that he's going to utilize your body to make money or to make him to create an empire. That's not who you are. That's not who you are. That's not how you came here. Sit down, slow down. Let me show you who you are. There's an importance of that ontological father. There is an essentiality of who he is and what he has brought out in you, what he is to you. Statistics are going to show you that young girls that have a absenteeism, of course, poor relationship, do not have an actual father who stands up to them and says, no, that's not how we're doing it. They run into problems. They run into issues, major issues in their life. And Ari, I want to make sure that we're able to take this situation and break it down into the nitty-gritty of what this problem really is. Why are the Cardi B's, of the world, Eves of the world, we talked about the Kardashians, but why are these people becoming who many young girls are framing as the model of what they want? If you really look at their life properly, and you look at how her life is going, let's use Cardi B, and I want you to look at it really properly. Cardi B was a sex-trafficked young lady who built her prestige, built her entire image on being sex trafficked. If you look at this properly, oh no, she was just a stripper. Eve was just a stripper, and now she's married to a billionaire. No, both of these ladies were actually sex trafficked. They were sex trafficked, and their story has been cleaned up, washed up, polished, so that it's palatable to most of you. But effectively, those women were sex trafficked, and they are now the shiny, emblems of what sex trafficking can do. But you don't call it that. We've hidden it. We've changed what it is. We have disguised it into something else. We have made it something that we can look at it, and we won't look away anymore. We won't say shame. We won't say, oh my gosh, what happened to her? No, we can't do that anymore. We cannot do that anymore. The optionality of fatherhood, actual fatherhood, the optionality that has been created in actual fatherhood is a precipitating issue where we see, well, wow, why are all these young black girls now being sex trafficked? We've always had pimps in our community. We've always had the pimp. We've always had the pimp, the hookers, and the pimps. We've always had them. They've always been part of the Western community. But it wasn't the predominant idea. They weren't, the prostitute wasn't a star. She was a victim. She's always been a victim. But she's not a victim anymore in our eyes. In the social culture eyes, the prostitute is not a victim. The sex trafficked girl is not a victim. She's not a victim anymore. She's a boss. She runs her stuff. She's a boss bee. She's a queen bee. In fact, she's trafficking other girls. And we've empowered this broken ideology to look good. And we've handed it down to our children, so that now what kind of nails do your daughters like to put? Your little 13, 14-year-old, you start letting them get nails. What kind of nails are they getting? They're getting stripper nails. They get those long. They're getting the stripper eyelashes. They're getting costumes. They're wearing costumes as regular makeup. This summer, style-wise, and I'm kind of a guy that stays up to it. When you see how the young ladies were walking, what they were wearing this summer, it was naked. They were naked. Spandex. You see everything. See-through bodysuits. See-through bodysuits. Everything was see-through. I don't know about where you are. This is Toronto. This summer, everything was see-through. All the clothes were see-through. It was stripper wear on the street. I'm not talking about girls who are in the industry. I'm talking about regular women, regular mothers, regular grandmothers, regular young girls. The going look was spandex, see-through clothing. This summer, last summer that passed, girls were rocking that like crazy. That's you go look on Temu, you go look on Amazon, you go look on Shein. The outfits that are rocking, the outfits that are wearing see-through spandex, basically lingerie, street-wearing lingerie. That's become normal. So when you think about it, that culture doesn't simply just affect the sex industry. It affects fashion. It affects social media. It affects everything. It goes all the way down the line. And if you don't have the men saying, this is not the standard. No, you're not going to walk around like this. Guys want their girl out on roads like that. Hey, yeah, baby, I want you out. I want you out here looking naked. I want you naked. I want you on the street. Yeah, you're going to be the baddest chick in here. And that works its way all the way down to the little girls. Mommy, you look so nice. No, man, there has to be a place and time where we start saying, as men, as fathers, that's not coming into my house. Don't you even think about that in my house. And let me tell you this. What happens now in the eyes of a father when his young girl does get pregnant now? You get a little high school girl, that high school girl gets pregnant. Your little teenager gets pregnant. What do? Do you discard her? What do you do? First of all, there was something that was dropped. That little boy had too much access to your daughter, or that man had too much access to your daughter. But then what do? You have to now double down and say, okay, you're pregnant now? That child in your belly is mine. You're my child, that child in your belly is mine. And I'm adopting that baby as soon as it comes out. I'm making sure this generational situation stops with you. I'm making sure I overcompensate. You're definitely going to school. You're definitely going to college. You're definitely going to have extracurriculars. You're definitely going to have tutors. There's going to be something that I make sure as a dad that I'm not going to allow this to circumnavigate your life. That little baby coming out is mine. I don't know who this little boy is, but let him know he will have access to this child on my say-so, because I've dropped the ball somehow, but I'm picking it back up now, and I'm running for a doggone touchdown now. What is your response when these young girls do fall into those particular situations? Do you abandon them? Do you make them feel unloved? Do you make them feel rejected? Do you make them feel like they're nothing? You've got to switch that up. You've got to, because there's no greater time that your daughter now needs you, because she's now a teenage mother. There is no greater time when she's now being influenced, that maybe that lifestyle is something that is an option for her. There's no greater time for you to be a pops, to be a dad, to step in and say, I don't care how estranged you are from your child, but when you identify that is the direction that your child has to be going, you've got to strap up like Rambo, baby, and say, no, this is, I always say this is what I always say, and this is for the boys too. This is for the little boys too. Little boys who get these little young girls pregnant. If you're the dad on the side of the boy, you've got to step in a serious way, because it's the mothers who have allowed this a lot of times. I'm serious. They've allowed this a lot of time because this little boy is showing he's too much man for her, because now he's getting little kids pregnant too, and he's a little kid. So you've got to step in and say, I'm taking full control of this dude now. You got little 14, 15-year-old boys who are having girlfriends and they're having sex. Dad, you dropped the ball, man. You dropped the ball. Why has this kid got so much time? And some of you are letting him have multiple kids. No, we've got to do something completely different, because we are losing a generation. We are losing a generation's mind. We're losing their imagination, where they think that their hopes and dreams are based on sex trafficking. They are allowing it. They are looking for it. They are running to it. Forget about right now in the city of Toronto. There is a great need for care homes for sex trafficked young girls, because these young girls, if you let them, they will run right back to the pimp. They want to be there. They are not being abducted. They are being convinced that this is the right way to go, and they want to be there. So they need homes where these young girls, their communication is being monitored. They gotta hide them from the so-called pimp who will come and pick them up, the boyfriend who is really a pimp. And these things are part of the culture. These little girls want to do it. It's not, oh, daddy, please help me. He wants to take me out and he wants to pimp me out. That's not what it is no more. Hey, my dad's home right now. Come by in a few minutes when he leaves. They are running to let these little boys pimp them. What happened to our culture? Part 1. We'll talk about it more in the future. Del K. Bridge, and this is The Real Spiel. There has to be a cutoff point. I agree.